All right, let me ask you something. What if you could learn a brand new skill? I'm talking something really complex, like a new language, in just 2 days. Yeah, not 2 years, not 2 months, but 48 hours. I know, it sounds absolutely impossible, right? But today, we're going to crack the code on a real world curriculum that actually does it. So let's dive in and break down exactly how it's done.
48. That's it. Just let that number sink in for a second. We're talking barely a work week. What could you possibly master in that amount of time?
Well, believe it or not, that's the exact amount of time a specialized course has to take an adult from zero, I mean, literally zero English literacy, and get them ready for their first official language class. We're going from not even knowing the alphabet to forming basic sentences in 48 hours.
So yeah, that brings us to the big question, right? The one we're all thinking. How is this even possible? I mean, it seems to fly in the face of everything we think we know about learning. But here's the thing. It's not magic. It's a methodology, and a really, really smart one at that.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for figuring this out. We're going to look at the challenge itself, then dive into survival words, the power of something called the spiral curriculum, the crucial role of the teacher, and finally, the brain science that makes it all tick.
All right, first up, survival words first. The secret sauce here is just ruthless prioritization. Look, you can't learn everything at once, right? So you've got to start with the words you absolutely need to survive. It's all about getting the biggest bang for your buck, right from the very first minute. And this is where we find a fascinating little shortcut in language. Get this. It turns out that just around 300 core words make up a staggering 80% of most common English text. 80%. So by focusing on just this tiny little slice of the pie, learners can understand the vast majority of what they see, like almost instantly.
But okay, choosing those first words, it's a bit of a balancing act. It's tricky, because on one hand, you need words that are actually useful, functional, words that help you survive, like bank or water. But on the other hand, you need words that are easy to sound out, like cat or pen, so you can teach the basic mechanics of reading. And this course has to pull off both at the same time.
So how do they do it? Well, here's the clever part. The very first lesson focuses on just 5 simple sight words. Now, they're taught as whole concepts, not by sounding them out. And you might be asking, why? Because with just those 5 little building blocks, a student can immediately start reading simple sentences. That creates an instant win, and more importantly, it builds that crucial early confidence.
Okay, so you've got your survival words. Now what? Well, the next piece of the puzzle is repetition. But hold on. This is not the boring, mind-numbing memorization you remember from school. No, this is strategic. It's smart. Let me show you how it works. So there's this formal education theory, and it's called the spiral curriculum. And the core idea is pretty simple, actually. You don't just learn a topic once and then forget about it. Instead, you intentionally circle back to it again and again. But each time you come back, you add a new layer of complexity. You go a little deeper.
I love this way of thinking about it. It's exactly like leveling up in a video game, right? You might replay the same level or revisit the same world, but now you've got new tools, you're facing tougher enemies, you've got a more complex mission. It's the perfect way to keep the material from getting stale while hammering home those fundamentals. Okay, let's look at a real practical example from the curriculum to see this in action. So, at level 1, we learn a simple greeting. Hello, I'm easy enough. Later at level 2, we revisit that I statement, but now we're using it for something functional, like I wake up. Then, by level 3, we spiral back again to add even more complexity, things like adverbs and time. I always wake up at 7 o'clock. See, it's the same core idea, just getting deeper and more powerful each time.
Now, having a smart curriculum is great. It's one thing. But let's be clear. This whole system falls apart without its most critical component, and that's the human element. The teacher here isn't just some presenter reading from a script. No, they are the methodology brought to life.
There's a quote from the course designers that I think just says it all. The textbook is a map. The educator is the methodology. Think about that. The book gives you the structure, the map of where you're supposed to go, but it's the teacher, the educator, who's the actual guide on that journey, helping you navigate the tricky parts in real time. I mean, think about all the things a static textbook just can't do. It can't look at a student and see that they're exhausted after a long day of work. It can't adapt an exercise on the fly for someone who maybe speaks English but can't read it yet. And it definitely can't provide that crucial human encouragement that turns a bunch of words on a page into real, actual, confident communication. So, let's recap. We've got survival words, we've got this cool spiral curriculum, and it's all delivered by an expert guide. But the question is, why? Why do these specific strategies work so incredibly well? Well, the answer lies in how our brains are actually wired. This is where we get to hack the learning process itself. Okay, first concept, cognitive load theory. The easiest way to think about this is to imagine your working memory is like a small cup. For a total beginner, just the simple act of sounding out letters fills that cup right up to the brim. Now, if you try to pour a bunch of complex grammar rules in at the same time, what happens? The cup just overflows, and nothing gets retained. It's all just a mess. All right, next up is something called the affective filter, and this is huge. It basically says that negative emotions, stress, anxiety, fear, they create a literal wall in your brain, a filter. And when that wall is up, new information it can't get in. It bounces right off. So feeling overwhelmed or feeling stupid is pretty much the fastest way to shut down the learning process completely. And boom, this is how it all connects. This is the magic. By using those familiar topics in the spiral curriculum, and by starting with simple tasks where students can succeed right away, the method intentionally keeps stress low. What does that do? It lowers that affective filter. It brings the wall down. And by focusing only on the most essential words, it manages that cognitive load so the cup doesn't overflow. All of this frees up precious brain power for the one thing that actually matters, learning. Okay, so what does this all mean for you? I mean, this is great for a specific English course, but the real takeaway here is that the principles behind it, they're universal. This is basically a blueprint for learning just about anything faster. We're talking coding, playing the guitar, public speaking, you name it. So here it is, your blueprint. Step 1. Prioritize. Whatever you're learning, find the absolute survival essentials, the 20% that gives you 80% of the results, and start there. Step 2. Spiral. Don't just learn something once. Constantly revisit those core skills, but always add a new challenge, a new layer. Step 3. Manage your mental load. Seriously, remember your brain is a small cup. Don't try to drink from a fire hose. And finally, Step 4. Keep your stress low. Learning should feel good. It should be empowering, not scary. Do whatever you can to keep that mental wall down so the new info can actually get in. Because really, the ultimate takeaway from this whole 48-hour challenge is simple. The secret to learning things fast isn't about cramming more information or just working harder. It's about learning smarter. It's about having a system that works with the way your brain is naturally wired instead of fighting against it. Look, this whole thing proves that with the right map and the right methodology, making incredible progress in a really short amount of time isn't just a fantasy, it's possible. So that leaves just one question for you. What will you master next?